Honeybees are incredible creatures. Scientists have long been fascinated by honeybees. The fact that worker bees are entirely female, the fact that male bees are only used for reproduction, the fact that they communicate with each other through an intricate dance, which scientists have given the very official name of waggle dance, but most of all, how each bee in the colony is ready to give up its life at any moment for the sake of the colony. Humans have long been confused by this self-sacrificial behavior. We don't understand it. We think the bees are maybe not that smart, or they don't realize they will die, or maybe they're victims of DNA hardwiring that is making them act. But if they had free will, surely they would save themselves. We think it's natural to be selfish. A selfish person would never sacrifice themselves. It's true, it is natural to be selfish. Evolution has provided us with that desire. But what is misunderstood is exactly what it means to be selfish. Let's go back to the honeybee. The honeybees within a single colony are very closely related to one another. Specifically, they share 75% of each other's DNA. Human parents only share 50% of their DNA with their children. That means that one bee in a colony has a closer genetic connection to every other bee in that colony than parents have to their own children. We misunderstood what it means to be selfish. We understand that in humans, it means, well, you want what's best for yourself, unless that interferes with what's best for your child. Then, of course, you want what's best for your child. We are hardwired to prioritize the well-being of our children. We understand this, not only personally, but scientifically, evolutionarily. We understand that selfishness includes putting our children's needs above our own. The honeybee feels this to an extreme. If it's more closely related to each of its hive members than parents are to their children, and we've all heard of mothers being able to lift cars to save their babies, imagine what a bee feels when it perceives a threat to its hive. A threat to tens of thousands of individuals closer to it than its own children would be. It is the most selfish thing in the world for that honeybee to sacrifice itself, because that is the best way to ensure that its line will live on. You see, the honeybee doesn't think of itself as an individual. It thinks of itself as a part of a collective whole. With humans, we have a harder time doing that. We exist in small familial units, but outside of that, we're happy to see ourselves as separate. After all, what responsibility do we have to anyone else? The Jerusalem Talmud, written by rabbis at the end of the 4th century, discusses Jewish law and text. In one particular passage, it discusses what it means to love your neighbor as yourself. It writes, if a man was to cut a piece of meat with a knife, and by mistake, the knife cut his hand, would one imagine that the hand that was cut would then cut the first one back to reprimand it? Each Jew must view the other as a part of the same body, living with a day-to-day awareness that all Jews are limbs of the same body is a true fulfillment of the mitzvah. The rabbis wrote this before anyone knew about genetics or evolution, but I can't help but imagine them sitting down under the shade of an olive tree in the hot Middle Eastern sun, taking out their scrolls to study Torah, and observing the honeybee an individual which perfectly showed what it meant to be a part of something larger. I can't help but imagine them in the land of milk and honey, thinking about what it takes to produce that honey and how that cooperation benefits not only the colony at large, but each individual in that colony. Seeing ourselves as limbs of the same body doesn't mean we should seek out opportunities to literally sacrifice ourselves like the honeybee. No, we want preservation of the whole, and we are included in that whole. But it does mean understanding the importance and the value of other parts of that whole. I get asked a lot why I decided to become a rabbi. This is a very tricky question to answer. I probably answer it differently to everyone who asks. In truth, there are a bunch of reasons why I made the decision to attend rabbinical school. But there is one reason, one answer, that I don't like to give. That reason is I chose to become a rabbi because I care very strongly about the continuation of the Jewish people. I want to do all in my power to help our people, our culture, our tradition, our religion, to help us reach the next generation, and the next one, and the one after that. The reason why this makes me feel uncomfortable is because people think that this is a selfless reason. Good for you, they say. That's what makes me feel uncomfortable, because in my mind, it does not feel like a selfless action. I want the continuation of the Jewish people because I am a Jew, and I want to see my heritage continue. But like the honeybee, that heritage does not need to come from me directly. I can see that each and every Jew in the world is a representative of that heritage. And if they carry on that Jewish heritage, that is a success for me. Like the honeybee, I am not limited in my own production of children in order to see my heritage live on. This lesson comes early on in the Torah, in the story we will read together tomorrow, this and every Yom Kippur. Cain, overcome with jealousy because God liked Abel's sacrifice better, retaliated on his brother, and killed him. When God asked what Cain had done, Cain responded, "Am I my brother's keeper?" What a peculiar statement to make. Am I my brother's keeper? Seems to suggest that Cain is saying, am I supposed to protect my brother? Am I supposed to prevent him from coming to harm? But the problem wasn't that Cain didn't protect Abel. The problem was that Cain outright attacked him. But in this peculiar statement, am I my brother's keeper? We see the glimmer of an ideology that would come into social consciousness more than 2,000 years later. The idea that survival of the fittest could apply to humans, and that each of us was not responsible for another's inability to survive. Cain is in essence saying, is it my fault Abel could not defend himself, even though the person he was defending himself against was me? The stronger one. What? Am I supposed to protect him against every single thing that might come to kill him? Every single thing, including myself? God does not answer in words. We do not see God saying, yes, Cain, you are your brother's keeper. Instead, we see God's response in actions. God punishes Cain, cursing the land he works to be barren, so he will be forced to wander and work in search of food, destined for a life of hard labor. Cain, realizing that actions have consequences, becomes fearful that someone will, in turn, come to kill him. He thinks to himself, if I can murder someone, what will stop them from murdering me? God again responds not in words, but in actions. God gives Cain a mark to prevent anyone from murdering him. God, in essence, is saying, yes, you made a mistake. Yes, you deserve punishment for the mistake that you made. But all human beings are my children, including you. We interpret this as mercy. This is more than mercy. This is God as a parent. This is God as a honeybee. This is God understanding that it makes no sense for one limb to punish another when they are all a part of the same body. When we think of the phrase, "Am I my brother's keeper?" we think, am I supposed to be selfless? It's a misunderstanding of what it means to be an individual, of what it means to be part of something bigger than yourself, of what it means to be selfish. Cain understood it as soon as he received his punishment. If he was unwilling to look after his brother, are others going to be unwilling to look after him? If none of us care about each other, is the entire world a battlefield? There was an activist on TV a couple of weeks ago, who was talking about his new book, On the Other Side of Freedom, which examines police violence in America. At a book launch, a man came up to him and said, "DeRay, are you saying that the police should never kill somebody?" DeRay asked the man if he had any kids. The man said he did. DeRay responded, "Well, when should the police kill your child?" The man was quiet, and then he responded, "I don't know." DeRay simply said, "I don't know either." After killing his brother, Cain became aware that if he were to be held to the same standards of life that he held for his brother, then he was going to die as well. God had to step in and say, no, these standards should not apply to anyone. Tonight, we stood together as a community, and with one unified voice, we said, Ashamnu, Ashamnu. We are guilty. The new ending at the end of this word tells us that this is the first person plural form, the we form. We are guilty. We are guilty. We are responsible. We are part of something larger than ourselves. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, because as the story shows, if I don't prevent the death of my brother, I may very well be the one killing him. But there is a reason why honeybee colonies are contained to a single hive. It's hard to be responsible for a large group of individuals. It can be hard to just be responsible for ourselves and our families. Even those of us who can devote the bulk of our time to it, still just focus on one community or one issue. DeRay focuses on police violence. I focus on the preservation and continuation of the Jewish people, not out of selfless devotion, but out of the understanding that I am a part of a whole. I am just one single limb of a big body. The understanding that I need the rest of us in order to survive. The understanding that if my limb were to retaliate against another limb, that would only end up hurting me more. The understanding that when Cain feels jealousy against his brother and strikes him dead, that his retaliation ends up hurting him as well, because we are all connected, because we are all responsible. Find that body that you are a part of. Our rabbis in ancient Israel saw that body as the Jewish people. And while that aligns with how I see myself as a part of a larger whole, I encourage each of you to decide for yourself what limb you might be a part of. It might be CBD, It might be people living with cancer. It might be the LGBTQ community. It might be refugees and asylum seekers. It might be your local school board and the teachers that educate our children. It might be the first responders who help keep us safe. It might be the safety and the security of the land of Israel. If we rethink what it means to be an individual, then the question, am I my brother's keeper, is no longer a question of, do I need to act selflessly, but rather a reinterpretation of what it means to be selfish. If we want what's best for ourselves, we need to demand what is best for everyone. We are all a part of the same body. We will never be as self-sacrificing as the bee, but we cannot let ourselves become Cain either. We need to find that balance. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. But not just for his sake, but for mine.